everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Breaking Character. My name is Jordan-Paige, and I am the show creator and host. I am so happy you're here today. Thank you so much for joining us. If you like what you see here today, please consider clicking the subscribe button and the notification bell so you can be notified when we post, and you can follow us on Instagram at Breaking Character Show. I am so excited to have this guest on the show this week. She is so talented in so many ways. Rebecca Van Kirk is an Atlanta-based writer, actress, and filmmaker who has always been passionate about storytelling and performing. When she won a costume contest at age 3 by singing and dancing for the judges, Rebecca's parents knew that she belonged in front of an audience. Before she knew how to write, Rebecca would ask her dad to type out every new script idea she had on the family computer, and she would act them out from the living room of her own home. Rebecca has starred in self-projects titled I'm Adopted, 2018, Finding Me, 2018, and most recently, Left Side, 2021. She has also portrayed numerous roles at her school, which include Flounder in The Little Mermaid, Juliet in The Seussification of Romeo and Juliet, and Minnie Fay in Hello, Dolly. At her school, she is a member of the Theater Arts Magnet program called the Academy Actors, where she will be performing in a student-produced showcase next month that she helped to write and organize. Rebecca is also an aspiring photographer who recently launched her own small business, Photos by Becca. When Rebecca's not working, she enjoys creative writing, listening to music, and spending quality time with her loved ones. Rebecca thanks God for every single opportunity she has been given thus far, and she cannot wait to see what he has in store for her next. Goldie, I don't know if you can see her from behind the laptop. This is my housemate's cat, Goldie. She is joining me today, and there's cat hair flying everywhere. So, without further ado, let's head to Zoom. All right, everyone. I am so excited to have Rebecca Van Kirk here with us today on the show. How are you doing today, Rebecca?
I'm really good. I'm really excited, and I'm really happy to be here.
Yay, I'm so glad. I know we were just talking before I clicked record, but I'd like to say again how excited I am to have you on the show. I am so glad that we've known each other for a few years and that the film industry here in Georgia has connected us. So we're going to start this off with 2 truths and a lie. So I am going to attempt to guess which one is the lie, and we'll see if I get it right. I may not, but we'll see.
Okay, should I go ahead?
Yep, go ahead whenever you're ready.
Okay, so my first statement is that I was a cheerleader in the 4th grade. My favorite place to go on vacation is the beach, and I fell out of a 2-story window.
Okay, that escalated at the end. All right. Ooh, okay. This is a hard one. This is very difficult. I am going, you know what? I'm going to guess that the second one is the lie.
The second one is the lie.
Really? Yay!
I don't like the beach.
See, I don't either, which is why I was like, I wonder if she's kind of like me in that sense.
Which is funny because I did my whole second half of my vlog in Destin, and then I was looking back at it and I was like, I don't like the beach. This is stupid. But I didn't vlog at the beach, so I felt like that like made up for it in a sense.
Yeah, I'm the same way. Like the beach for me, I'm just like, no, I'm good. When my family, when we go, we usually go every week of Thanksgiving, and we'll like have rent a house for like that week. And I use that as like a writing week. I'm like, no, I don't go down to the beach. I just sit outside of the house and just write. I'm like, I think I went down this past year. I think I went down to the beach like once. I was like, okay, that's it.
It's just like, I can tolerate it to a sense, but it's just, nothing about it seems relaxing to me. Because there's just so many people there, and then you have sand everywhere when you get in the house, and then you have to take like 15 showers. And I'm like, I'm not really sure why people enjoy this.
Yeah, I feel that. I feel that very heavily. So your most recent film, Left Side, premiered a few months ago, and I really loved it. I thought it was fantastic. So could you tell us a little bit about that project? You know, where did you get the inspiration? What does it mean to you?
Okay, so I have a story that I prepared, so I'm gonna talk about that.
I'm ready.
So when I was a freshman in high school, I was going through a really hard time, and I was having a lot of, anxiety, and I was put on some medication for that. But I ended up having like really bad side effects, and I had to go to the hospital, and I came out with like a lot of trauma from that experience. And so like 8 or so months ago, I was writing this piece of poetry titled Left Side, which is the voiceover you hear in the film. about, you know, wanting to overcome that trauma and what I thought, you know, that might look like. And so then this past December, I tested positive for COVID and I was stuck in my bedroom and I really wanted to like, I wasn't doing anything and I was just bored for like 10 days. And so I really wanted to push myself to do something. And I was like, well, I don't want to clean my room. So I guess I'm going to make a short film. And so like a lot of what you see in Left Side is definitely, you know, very vulnerable, very personal. And then like, you know, a part of the poem talks about not being able to eat Fruit Loops since being there. And during filming, I had a friend on FaceTime, like on another tripod. And it was actually like the first time I'd eaten Fruit Loops for over like 2 years because it was really funny because I used to not be able to even like look at Fruit Loops without, you know, thinking about those events, which I've always, you know, attached a negative connotation to. But now when I see them, I think about Left Side, which is a project that I'm, you know, really proud of. And I think that was a really big stepping stone for me. So, yeah.
That's amazing. First of all, thank you for sharing that with us. That is, I loved hearing about that. And I think hearing that from behind, you know, the backstory behind the film is incredible as well. And I very much admire you for being able to take that step to overcome or start to overcome that trauma, because that can be extreme. I mean, it's hard. It's so hard. I had, when I was this was a few years ago, there was one time I had gotten sick and I had just happened to have tacos the night before, and I'm emetophobic, meaning that I have an extreme fear of, like, it causes a panic attack, like physically getting sick. Like so I could not eat tacos for like 3 years after that because I kept associating it with that. So when you said that, I was like, oh, I can empathize with that. I definitely, but I think that's fantastic that now you associate it with the film, which you should be extremely proud of it. It is a great film. And I mean, I love how you went, I wasn't going to clean my room, so might as well make a short film.
My room is just, oh gosh, like I like to keep it clean and I like to think it's clean, but then I see like my 15 cups in my chair just sitting there. I'm like, no, it's not clean. But after we filmed the portion with the Fruit Loops, I had the friend on the FaceTime and she was like, so how'd it go? And I was like, Fruit Loops aren't that good. I don't know why I was so nervous. Like they're not good. And I eat them all the time now just because there's something that I snack on and something that I'm like, oh, left side, but like they're not good. They're not fruity. I don't know why I was so
No,
nervous.
they're definitely not fruity. They're just, I don't know what that is. Also, sorry, there's a cat in deciding to hit the side of the litter box for some reason. So we'll just have that sound in the background for a moment. We love keeping it real here on the show. We keep it all real.
Very real.
So, moving on, when I asked you about topics that you wanted to speak on, you mentioned that fighting racism is very important to you. And so I really would love to take this moment to touch on that topic. So for filmmaking, are you planning on touching on that topic in any of your upcoming films or scripts?
Yeah, I'd love to. It would be a dream. I'd like to really make like something kind of like Left Side, but almost like a documentary type film, you know, because I was adopted and about, you know, being an Asian adoptee and what it's like to like sometimes not really feel like you belong anywhere because you look like one group of people, but then you talk and act like this other group of people. And, you know, being Asian is something I've always been like weirdly insecure about for really no reason. And honestly, I'm hoping that, you know, how Left Side helped me overcome that trauma, that this project would also kind of help me cope in that same manner. So I kind of already have a title in mind and we're about to go into pre-production. So I'm really, really excited for that.
That is fantastic. I am so excited to hear about that. Anytime you're doing a new project, I get very excited, but something with, goodness, this cat, sorry. Something with as an incredible message such as this, I think is going to be something truly incredible. And I know I am really looking forward to watching that because I will love the insight it's going to give me, because I want, you know, I want to learn more about that. I want to understand as best that I can, you know, and all of that. So that's very exciting. And I'm so thrilled to hear that you're working on that.
Thank you.
Of course. Yes. I'm looking forward to seeing the updates. Every time I'll be like, what's happening? What's happening? What's going on?
I mean, same here. I watch your stories religiously. So
Thank you. I appreciate that. Half the time I will post something on my story and then the next day I'm like, what did and I have to go back and I'm like, oh, that.
Yes, I remember. I remember. So I was friends with Jude Harris. We met at like a summer camp or something way back, and so I've been following it on Instagram, and I saw like the little chef post, and I was like, oh, what's this? This looks cool. And then I started following you and following all of your projects, and I'm like, she's so cool. I'd love to meet her. And I was like, oh my gosh, she lives like an hour away from here. That's so cool.
I can't believe it was Little Chef. Oh my gosh. Wow.
It was Little Chef.
You're right. Now that you say that, now I remember us talking about how that's where it started. Wow. And how far have we come? I love it.
So far.
So far. Okay, so Wild Card.
So that's a whole thing.
There you go. Exactly. We both got it. Yep. Mine is growing out again. Far. So
it's in the top like 3. I feel like my fave is kind of important, but the haircut is up there.
Yes, absolutely. That both of those things just 110%. So yeah, it's like film brought us together, and then there were a whole bunch of other things that we were like, oh, look at that. I love that. So alrighty, so wild card question here. If you had a warning label, right? How warning labels come on toys and stuff. If you had a warning label, what would yours be?
Is it bad that the first thing I thought of was made in China?
I don't think it's bad. I think it depends on how you feel about that.
That was when you said label for toys. That's my immediate first thought. Like sometimes I joke around and I'm like, oh, I was made in China. But yeah, that was probably my first thought. If I had to think of something like a little bit more legitimate, gosh, probably just like really self-deprecative sometimes. I feel like sometimes I make fun of myself just a little bit too much and I take it a little bit too far, and people are just like, Becca, why would you say that? And I'm like, oh, sorry, I'm just like, humor is sometimes the way I cope with things. And so sometimes I take it a little bit over the top. So that's probably what I would say.
I can empathize with that as well. I will very much. And then, yeah, I would say I think if I had a warning label, it would be something like, warning, will not stop talking, or like something like that. I just don't, I will just keep going, just all the time. So either that, or it would be like, we'll switch moods very fast, because that's another thing. I'll just be like one to the other very quickly. All right, so now it is time for memory association. So the way memory association works is I've got the random word generator pulled up on my phone here. I'm going to generate a random word, and then when we get a good one, because sometimes they're horrible, we will both say the first memory that we're willing to share that pops into our head when we hear that word, even if it happens to have nothing to do with that word, whatever we think of when we hear the word. So let's see. Our word is, this one's going to be interesting, graduate.
Okay.
So if you have one first, you can go, because I'm still thinking about mine.
Okay. This isn't like a personal story, but a few years ago, someone from our Academy Actors program graduated. His name is Tony. He was an international student, and I loved having him. He was hysterical. He played football, and he didn't quite understand what it meant to be an actor. We had 2 shows. We did like a 1 act, and we had 2 shows, and he couldn't be there one night because he had like a major football game. So we had to like take over all of his lines for him. But when I went to his graduation, and his last name is Yang, and so he's like the last person to graduate, right? And it's funny because the name of our 1 act was called Me, My, Selfie, and I. And I guess he really got into like the selfie thing. So he walks across the graduation stage, and he decides to like take a selfie with our head of school while he's on the graduation stage, and I have it on my phone, and it's the funniest thing I've ever seen, and everyone was cheering for him, and it was really great.
That's great. What an awesome story. The first one I thought of was at my high school graduation, which I graduated with the school that I went to for the in person for the first 2 years, not my virtual school for the second 2.
So I was in, we're all there in alphabetical order, like backstage or whatever. And this guy that I had been in like my ninth grade English class, I think it was ninth grade English, who we had like, originally he was one of those people who I didn't like. I was like, you're kind of annoying me. And then eventually I was like, never mind, you're actually okay. Like, you're funny. But anyway, so he notices me and he's like, wait, you're still here? And I was like, well, yeah, but no, like I wasn't, but I'm graduating with you guys. So it had been like 3 years since we had even like seen. So I was like, yes, I do still exist. Hi, I'm back. So that's what I thought of, that it made me laugh. Alrighty, so next up is mental health is something that you've mentioned is also very important to you, which I think is great. It's also very important to me. And I know some of your films are some of your films already touch on mental health a little bit. So how do you feel about the way that mental health is currently being portrayed in TV and films, and what change, if any, would you like to see in the future, or do you think should be changed?
Yeah, and so when I was thinking through this question, I was kind of thinking that everyone kind of falls into three categories. And so you either, you're going through this thing and you're kind of telling your own story, or you see someone who, kind of inspires you. And even though it's not your story, you really want to work as hard as you can to be able to tell their story. And then you have the kind of people who are just like, oh, this is an interesting topic. Let me cover this in whatever I'm doing, but don't really do enough research, or maybe aren't as involved as they should be, or just kind of doing it for the sake of doing that. And just full-fledged, honestly, I feel like I've fallen into all three of these categories. So I think it really just depends on who's making the film, who's doing the TV show. But I think this generation is moving in a really great direction when it comes to like really investing in the mental health of our community and listening to other people's stories and trying to be more sympathetic for them, because obviously everyone has different struggles and not everyone suffers the same way. But it's really great to see people come together over the things that we're feeling and experiencing together.
I love that you brought that up. I completely agree, and I think our generation, the generation under us, are doing a really great job. Yeah, that's becoming so much more normalized. So much more normalized to be like, man, I'm really struggling today with my anxiety, and you're like, oh, how can I help you? Not this, or can I help you? It's not this, what is that? We don't talk about that. Like what? And it is so interesting. And I think that's really, I also agree with those three categories. And I myself too, I think there are certain things, even if it's not necessarily mental health, but there are certainly things that I should have researched a lot more, that thankfully when the film came out, it wasn't like scandalous, but it's like, I definitely should have done more research on that. And I think that was a really good way to put it. And I think, that's always how I'm going to think of it. Dang, thanks for that. That was it's a really good way to put it. Okay, so could you give some advice to those that are watching? This could be career advice, life advice, whatever type of advice you would like to give.
Yeah, there are so many things that I wish I could say, all of which are probably like really cliche and maybe not what they want to hear. For me, first of all, like honesty is the best policy. And my number one pet peeve is hypocrisy. I really don't like people who contradict themselves because it makes me feel like I can't trust them. And so it's always good to be open, not only with others, but for yourself too, because, it's really healthy to keep yourself accountable, I think. Another really cheesy thing is that I feel like life is too short not to take opportunities. And I feel like that probably sounds a little stupid coming from someone who has anxiety herself. But I think it's true. And I think more often than not, I would rather, regret the things that I did do than the things I didn't. And so, like tell the guy you like him, wear that outfit, buy the ice cream cone, because I feel like you deserve it. And oh, I have one more thing. Sorry. And finally, just give yourself more grace, because I feel like so many things in this world are temporary, whether it be grades, school clubs, just even relationships. People change all the time. And I think figuring out who you really want to surround yourself with is very healthy. But it's okay to also have a little lazy day every once in a while, because I feel like you have to be able to discern what your priorities are and what's best for you and your mental health and physical health as well.
You are so wise. Oh my gosh, I love this. I'm like, these are like reminders being shot straight at me, by the way, especially that last one. That's like, hey, I'm gonna hit you in the face with that one. No, but the anxiety one too, that's so true. Taking opportunities, even with anxiety, without anxiety, you know, whatever it is, but it is hard when you have anxiety blocking your path and going, ah, you know, like your brain is like, no, 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 and you know, pushing past that. And sometimes, as you said, sometimes it works out, other times it doesn't, but you won't know unless you go. So I think those were all three fantastic pieces of advice. So when things get tough, what pushes you to keep going?
Okay, so first and foremost, I'm a Christian, and I think I find the most comfort in knowing that I have a relationship with a God who has a plan for my life and who knows way better than I ever will. I also have a really great support system, and I take a lot of pride in being able to surround myself with people who encourage me and push me and inspire me to be the best version of myself that I can be. And more specifically, in the times that I'm feeling, especially overwhelmed, I try to focus on, regulating my breathing and distracting myself from like the immediate situation so that I can, fully process and talk about it when I'm in a better mindset.
Goodness, I need to like do like a master class with you on like how to not freak out in situations, because it sounds like you've got a much better handle on it. That you've got a lot more coping things than I do. I still have a long way to
Taken a
go.
lot of, it's taken years of therapy to get there, if I'm gonna be frank.
Hey,
But hey,
therapy's great. Therapy's
therapy's
fantastic.
good. I
I'm a
mean,
firm
therapy's
believer.
not for everyone, but for when you find the right person and you're in the right place. I had a therapist once who was like, so you're going through this situation. I have a bit of puppets. So if we can use these puppets and connect them with like your people, and just if you could like act it out with the puppets for me, that would be great. I mean, no offense to anyone who likes puppets. I just that wasn't my thing. But then I went to another therapist, and she's great. And so it's really about finding your person, I think. But it's obviously not for everyone. There's so many things that aren't for everyone. College isn't for everyone. Therapy isn't for everyone. Like going back to what I just said, it's really about finding what's best for you.
So true. So true. So lastly, where can people follow you and keep up with what you're doing?
Yeah, so I so okay. While I do keep most of my social medias private, I am at Pan Productions, I think 0001 on Instagram, because I don't want to try and take just at Panda Productions. I feel like that wouldn't go over well. But the most convenient way to keep up with my work, ironically, is through the link in my Instagram bio, which is at Rebecca_Van Kirk, because that link contains a bunch of other links to all of my films, all of my websites, a bunch of my other, like my IMDb page, a bunch of stuff like that.
Got it. Well, that will be in the description below, so everyone can find that link to lead them to all of the other links. And that's all I have. So thank you so much again for being on the show. I had so much fun with this, and I feel like I learned even more about you, which I love so much.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
You're welcome. It is my pleasure. I'm going to press stop on the recording, so we are going to head out of Zoom.
Thank you all so much for watching today. I really hope you enjoyed. If you like what you saw, you can follow us on Instagram at Breaking Character Show, and you can also subscribe and click the notification bell so you can be notified when we post on YouTube every Tuesday and Thursday. If you yourself are a creative and you're interested in being on Breaking Character, check out the description box below where you will find a link on how to submit yourself, and Rebecca and I's social media is down there as well if you're interested. Next week's guest is someone who I really enjoyed getting to talk to a little bit more and get to know her a little bit better. Next week's guest is going to be Emily Grace Cook, who is an extremely talented performer, and she's an Instagram influencer as well, which is pretty cool. Thank you all so much again for watching, and we will see you next Tuesday.